We've built over 100 AI automation systems for businesses and discovered that most AI automation advice is completely wrong. Today, I'm showing you the exact frameworks that delivered real results for our own brands and also our clients. For example, some of these AI automations have cut down client production times or client workflows by up to 80%, not with fancy AI agents, but with real world practical AI automations. Plus, we've sold over 800 templates that we install into our client businesses to customers where they take the templates themselves and begin to use those templates within their own businesses. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which AI automations actually deliver results, which popular approaches to avoid, and how to implement proven systems that save you hours without the technical headaches. Because the truth is, most business owners waste time on overhyped AI tools that look impressive in demos but fail in real-world applications. You end up with half-finished systems, wasted subscriptions, and the same manual workload you started with. Today, I'm going to walk you through these 6 key areas and tell you everything we've learned after building more than 100 AI automations for our own brands and for our clients. And each section builds upon the previous one, giving you a complete framework for effective AI automation. No theory concepts, just practical systems you can copy directly into your business for immediate results. Does that sound fair? Great, let's dive in. If you don't know me yet, my name is Mitch Asa. We've sold tons of templates, helped a bunch of clients over the last 12 months. And I run Big Moves.io, where we provide a lot of templates for people to get started in AI so much easier. And after spending the last 18 months building these workflows for not just this brand, but I had a previous brand that I built some AI systems for that allowed me to go from 40 hours a week in that business down to 10 hours a week and then sell that brand so I could focus on AI. And these systems work well when you think about them in a great way. And I'm going to teach you what we learned today so that you can learn the key principles that we've learned over these last 18 months as well. So let's just dive in now and get to some of these key points. And the first one I want to talk about is AI agents. So you hear them everywhere. And look, if I just go into my YouTube feed, AI agents is mentioned here. If I keep scrolling, I'm sure we'll come across AI agents a whole bunch of times. But the biggest lesson that I've learned in the last 18 months is that as soon as you hear about a tool or a new concept about how these systems are getting used, it's usually going to be a 12 to 18 month period until that concept actually becomes really viable. And if you look at some of the other YouTube channels, and if you look at some of the other guys in AI automation talking about agents on YouTube who are much further along the path and much more experienced, you'll hear them also say that they're using general AI automation tools with Make.com with NAN, maybe 80 to 90% of the time. And AI agents are getting used maybe 5 to 10, maybe 20% of the time. And this is what I talked about last year, at the end of last year, is that every content creator is going to talk about AI agents because it's new and it's exciting. And sure, it's great to actually learn a little bit about them. But the real value is not going to come from AI agents for maybe 12 to 18 months. It's just the same cycle repeating itself over and over again. But then the flip side of that is, I'm sure as a consumer, you're probably learning and getting to understand AI agents 80% of your time. And it's probably a little bit of a waste of time right now, unless you have very specific use cases for those agents. There's not really a necessity to actually be focusing on them too much right now. So that's like the first big lesson is that there's always an adoption period first that needs to happen where the tech needs to get a little bit better before you actually start implementing it and begin to actually use it in your workflows. So this is what I would call our automation mistakes, I guess, is like focusing on the things that are not really ready yet inside of our businesses. The next thing I want to talk about is implementation. And what I'm seeing with implementation is that there's been a shift in terms of how we build these tools. And whether it's building a software tool or whether it's building an automation inside of Make.com or NAN, is that what used to happen is software used to get built so that anybody could implement any type of strategy that they wanted to. They had full control over like take a CRM, for example. You could build any type of email workflow. You could have notifications in any way possible. But what I'm seeing happening now with AI automation is that we're actually automating the strategy. And this is something very new in the ecosystem. I don't see it really getting talked about a lot. And if I go to like a new product that we're going to have coming out soon called AI Tube Kit, where we have this fully built system to help go a little bit deeper with our YouTube strategy. So what it actually does is, what we would normally do if we were creating a YouTube video is we would do the video, we would maybe post a few social media posts about it, and that would be about it. But because we can now use automation, we can actually go much deeper into the outcomes that we want from these YouTube videos. And we can see it explained here. So we can actually take an idea and then help script that out. So the ideation phase can now be largely automated. But we can then do things like pulling out different thumbnail prompts, or like creating thumbnails for the video as well using AI. So we have different workflows in our TubeKit section here. I come down into here, where if I go into this custom AI avatar, so we're using, tools like Fowl.ai, training it with our own images, and then automating the thumbnails that come out the other side. So that's just like one example. Let me pull that up in the actual dashboard, where we're still refining these a little bit. But if I come down and we go to, a lot of these have already been created, but it creates some prompts here. We add in the prompts and then it generates the thumbnails on the other side. We can also then do things like auto-generate all the YouTube assets. Like that's stuff we've done before. But we can also then take it a little bit deeper, where we can pull out a bunch of social media posts. We can turn it into informative newsletters. We can turn it into a blog post that automatically embeds the video. We can pull shorts from it. We can then create transcripts for creating reels. So if I come back into here and we go to this one, basically we've got a YouTube assets doc. So it does this description and everything, and we create a carousel from it. We have a social media doc, which then helps us create B-roll, reels, image posts, talking head reels, and the newsletters. So we have a promotional newsletter. We have like a general information newsletter that gets generated. We can generate it in HTML, so we directly upload it into our email system without having to format it. So it's allowing us to go super deep into the strategy rather than into just doing like what we will consider to be the bare minimum if we were to build out a YouTube channel. So this is super valuable for so many strategies, because I think what you'll find is if you speak to a lot of business owners, they would say that this is the strategy we do because this is like the 80-20. It gets us our results. But the nice to have things are, we would love to be able to do these 5 extra things in this workflow, but we just don't have the team, the resources in order to do that. So what AI automation is actually allowing us to do is to take each strategy a step deeper and create more content, allow us to create world-class outputs and get so much more output from the inputs that we're doing, whether that's creating content or whatever else. One of the products that we have is project planning. So we're reimagining project planning, where it actually plans the projects automatically. It then assigns the tasks automatically as well. And it's just so much easier to do than having to spend hours assigning those tasks yourself. These are the things that are getting reimagined. And we can do that with building these AI automations by taking existing proven processes and starting to automate them ourselves. Now, as with most truths in the world, there's actually a juxtaposition on this exact same topic, where what I find is that a lot of the people who are automating things are actually automating too much at one time. So like they're trying to automate things that don't need to be automated. And the perfect example of this is we built this meme product. So this AI meme agent product here, which basically we input in a TikTok video, it downloads that video. And then what I would say a lot of people would try to do is they would then take that video and try and automate everything. So they would try to create the headline with AI. They would then try and embed the headline onto a design or a video using a tool like Placid, for example, and trying to automate the entire thing immediately. To build that automation out and test it and get it exactly right, it takes a lot of time, but it also has its downsides where if you need to edit it, you have to go into the editing tool anyway and make your adjustments to get the text size right and all of those types of things. Whereas what we're doing, we're taking the parts that are absolutely essential that can be automated with AI, and then the design components we just do inside of Canva manually, because it takes basically the same amount of time to actually produce the result anyway. What I see a lot of people do is they try to automate too much too soon when the tools are not really ready for that yet. Now, a lot of tools are getting very close, and I think it's going to be possible very soon. Now, the next one I want to talk about kind of combines 2 of these concepts here, which is future-proofing and systems design. And I've talked about this a lot in the past. So if we dive into an automation here, let's just choose one with this content workflow. If you build with OpenAI, then you only have the ability to use OpenAI models, right? 4.5, 4.1, O1, all of those models. If you build with the Anthropic modules inside of Make, then you only get to use Claude and Sonnet and so forth. However, what we're doing is we're using these aggregator tools like OpenRouter, and there are others, Hugging Face and more, that allow us to then map in our AI models here just with a variable field. So then in a system, so like we're using like Airtable as a system, for example, then we have the ability to easily add AI models into our system just with a couple of clicks of the button. So we just add in the AI model code in these two here. We add in our max tokens and our temperature. And that'll drop in a new record into this field here or this table. And then we can reference that in every single workflow that we have in this system. So if we come back to the overview here, is like we want to take a systems design approach when building AI automations. Because if you don't, then if your clients ever want to update an AI model in their workflow, because new ones are coming out every few weeks, they would have to come into here and remap it manually themselves. Like imagine how frustrating this would be if they had to go through this list in 100 automations that they have, rather than just having a proper built system where they can select that model. So let's just come into our scripting workflow here. We can select our AI models from this section here, and then it will automatically push this code and use that model in our workflows just by selecting it here before we hit the button to actually trigger the automation. So this is where this systems design approach and future-proofing those systems is so important. And so many users are getting ripped off right now because people are not taking the time to design the workflows from a scalable point of view. And if you do want repeat clients, if you do want people to have a good experience, if you do want referrals, then you need to be thinking about these things. If someone built me a system where every time I wanted to change the model, I went into make.com, I would have nothing but bad things to say about them. But 90% of the videos that you see on YouTube, that's exactly what they're teaching, and they're the free blueprints that you're getting. So I imagine that 90% of the people who actually download those free blueprints or get them from school or whatever, just go and install them into client businesses or their own businesses, which then creates huge amount of bottlenecks in future for your client or for yourself. And then ultimately it gives a bad experience to yourself or to your client. So then people don't want to use it anymore. If you want to build a great business, you need to build systems that people love and that are easy to use and then that are easy to debug and easy to scale up and easy to change when something comes out in future. So that's a super important one that I try and talk about a lot because I see very few people actually doing it. And finally, sort of on that future-proofing point as well, is that you want to sell where the AI models are going. So like this system for our YouTube workflow, for example, eventually it's going to be able to script out these videos perfectly as we begin to add more of our scripts back in as training data. It's also going to be able to do AI thumbnails so much better as the image models get better and better so that it follows the instructions, it follows the training data that you've given it so that it looks like you. All of these things that are going to continue to get better and better. So like we're producing this much content now from a single YouTube video. So we have our 4 or 5 talking head reels, we have 4 or 5 B-roll reels, we have 4 or 5 image posts, carousel posts. We have all of these automated as best they can be for right now. But what will happen in future is that the AI, and especially as AI agents come out, you will be able to connect these other tools that are currently being done manually, like Canva, like ManyChat, and ask the AI agent to go and schedule or go and design those images in Canva. Ask the AI agent to go and design those ManyChat comment reply bots. Like this stuff will come in the years to come. You want to be selling that future to your clients as well, so that they stick around and that they pay a recurring fee so that you continue to update these models time and time again. So these are like some of the key things that we've learned after building 100 plus automations. The truth is most things can be automated, but the bigger truth is that a lot of things that can be automated right now doesn't mean they should be, because you still want to get a really high quality result. What I'm finding is that a lot of people are automating things and getting a lesser result, but because it's automated, then it looks cool and people want it because it's flashy and new and, you know, whole shiny object syndrome. But the truth is we still want to make sure we're maintaining quality if we are automating these types of things in our businesses as well. If you have clients that pay, then I totally understand if they're going to pay for lesser stuff. Like if you if you just want to build stuff and make some money, fine, go ahead and do that. But if you want to build something that's long lasting, then always aim for a higher quality, or at least the same quality that they're getting right now in these workflows. So I hope this was helpful. Comment down below any other big lessons that you've learned as well, and I'll see you in the next video.